Hey, what is going on, guys? XpertFusion here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys my first impressions review of The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 14, which is titled Scars. So, before I get into the review, I want to give you guys just kind of a heads up here. I didn't hate this episode, not in the slightest. I didn't even not like it. I loved it. I thought it was really good. But I felt disappointed in certain locations, and I'll explain why. So, I used to read spoilers like back in the day, like a while ago, like 2-3 seasons ago, like basically for every episode, because I couldn't help myself, right? And then I stopped because I didn't want to see them anymore, but they kept popping up, and for the bigger moments, they kept getting spoiled for me. But what I kept doing was reading non-spoiler reviews, which is like the 4Bs, a couple other articles, a couple other companies, they post a non-spoiler review usually the day before the episode comes out, and they kind of hype you up for it, say if it's good or bad or whatever it may be, without spoiling anything. And they hyped this episode up a lot. Like, all of them did. They said it was the darkest in history. They said it was insane and crazy. And although it was a little bit, I think that kind of ruined it for me, because I knew exactly what was going to happen. Right when I saw the kids show up, I was like, oh yeah, Michonne's about to slaughter kids. Or Daryl, or someone's going to slaughter kids. I knew someone was going to kill kids. And when I saw Michonne out there with them, I was like, alright, now I know what's going to happen. But that wasn't the main disappointing part. That's for me personally. I still love the episode, but I think I would have liked it more if I went into it fresh rather than seeing these spoiler reviews. That's not, affecting how much or how good I thought the episode was. It affects my first viewing of it, if you know what I mean. But after viewing it multiple times, I'm sure I'm going to love it more and more. But I do wish, this is the only complaint I have, and I know this sounds horrible. This sounds absolutely terrible. But I do wish that they showed, at least for a few of the kids, actually showed them dying, or at least showed their body after. And I know that sounds so fucked up. Like, come on, they're kids. You don't want to see kids dying. But at least for the older ones, because not all of them were kids, Like, the one that looked he was a good 20 years old, you couldn't have shown that at least? Come on, they've shown Sam from season, like, you can't tell me that they don't want to show kids dying on the show, that's why they didn't show it. They showed Sam getting his head chewed off by a zombie in season 6. They showed Ron getting killed by Michonne, a freaking katana through the stomach. They showed Sophia as a walker turned. They showed plenty of things like that in this show. And so you can't sit here and try to act like it would be too far for the show. It wouldn't be. I think this scene was brilliant. It was really well done with the soundtrack. But you should have just, I don't know the limitations or what the rules are or whatever, but at least for a few of them, because I felt like I was confused. I was like, did she just kill them or did she injure them? Because we didn't even see their body after. We didn't even see how she cut them. We just saw her slicing the air, and then that was about it. They didn't show them after. They didn't show them during. They didn't show them anything. So I understand for the littler kids, I understand doing that, but for like the ones that are a little older, I just don't see the point of that. The dude was like 20 years old. You could have shown him getting killed. You could have shown it. It just felt off not showing it. But other than that, episode was really well done in my opinion. I'm kind of curious about this though, because this explained the scars. Yes, it did. Explained why Michonne was kind of a bitch in recent episodes, and at least for but most of season 9. But it didn't explain much at all. It kind of did, but it still doesn't really make sense as to why Alexandria and Hilltop are kind of at odds with each other. Like, or why most of the community is kind of apart from Alexandria. Like, they tried to explain it. They said something about Michonne. She was saying how she realized she had to protect her own people and stuff like that, but how did that start such a strong distrust between the communities? I don't really understand. And how did killing kids make her realize, I can't help you communities anymore. I have to help my own people. Like, yeah, they got a lot of their stuff stolen, but they got all of it back because I would assume they did at least. So that really didn't make sense to me. Is it really that big of a deal? No, because I could probably find an explanation and I'll probably understand it within the next day or two. But, yeah, that's just a few negatives. And maybe, I don't know. I just feel like it should have been done a little bit differently. I don't know. I don't want to say it's forced. I do like the idea of this group, though. Unfortunately, it's one of those groups that you're just going to see once and never see it again. And I was actually kind of pissed because this is a type of group I wanted to see in the show for a long time, like in the future or something. But like I wanted to see it going on for episodes. Like I wanted to be like a half a season type group or something. You know, not a flashback episode type group. Like what I mean by that is a group where it's a bunch of kids, right? And they kind of are doing this kind of not really in a Telltale game right now. And it's like a group of kids who are being taught by, you know, a higher person, an older person. And since they're growing up in this world, they don't know any better but to kill. And that's kind of what they're taught to do. And so they are like crazy, basically. And I love that idea because then when the group's fighting against them, they're like, they're kids. We can't kill them. So it adds a whole new layer of, you know, interest in battle. And I thought that was interesting. And how they basically did that same thing here. It's just unfortunate that the group had to end like that, and then we're not going to see them ever again. So, and I doubt they're ever going to do another group like this because they just did it in this episode. But I'm glad that at least it's better than them never doing it at all, at least, you know. So I'm okay with that. But I still really liked a lot of the episode. The whole Judith going out on her own thing was kind of odd. I don't know. I liked it. I did like the conversations. Conversations were really well done. The dialogue was really well done this episode. The Negan and Michonne conversation was one of my favorites. Daryl and Judith talking was great. I loved the ending. I loved that little scene with Lydia and Henry. That was great. I did like this episode for the most part. I just felt like there was a few things here and there that were confusing. And one question I have, because this didn't explain it. I thought the flashback would explain, where the hell is Oceanside? Where have they been? They need to explain that because I'm just getting angry now, like that they haven't explained the Oceanside. I thought this was going to explain it, or at least Oceanside was going to have some sort of part in this story, but they didn't. So what's going on with them? I'm glad they showed one of Negan's wives. I think her name was Frankie in this episode, which I'm thankful because now I know at least Negan's wives are around and they must be in Alexandria. I don't know why they can't just show them in the background every now and then just to make us remember that they're still there. But Oceanside is just nowhere to be seen. I don't know if it's just because they're not important in the story, but at least bring it up, you know? That'd be nice to, you know, get it mentioned or something. And then we get next episode, which looks absolutely incredible, and I'm sure it's going to be probably the best episode of the season, or at least one of the best, and it's probably going to have one of the most insane endings of any episode ever. So I did record my reaction to this episode, and I might post it tomorrow. I don't know. I might not, because my reaction wasn't very explosive at all. It wasn't like, because there wasn't many moments in this episode where I felt like I needed to say anything. Like, I was really just trying to, it was so much information getting thrown at you in this episode. A lot of it was rushed, I feel like, and I know people love when things are rushed apparently because people have the attention span of a squirrel and they're not patient enough, right? But I feel like this episode was just a little bit too fast in some scenes. Like, they were tied up and the next thing you know they weren't tied up and the guy was on the floor. And it was like, you know, you could have shown that. I mean, you could have given us 30 seconds of Daryl doing some unique thing to get out of it, because it's for people who look away for like half a second, they miss a whole thing. They would just miss a whole scene right there, and they'd be like, wait, what just the fuck just happened? How are they already out, right? I don't know. I just think rushing stories is never good, but it was a flashback, right? So that makes more sense. Since it was a flashback, I understand what it meant. But another thing, since it was a flashback, that did take away a little bit from the intensity. I feel like this would have been a little bit cooler. Maybe if it was episode 6. I know this sounds stupid probably, because then we wouldn't have the suspense built up, but imagine if it was episode 6, and then obviously the series continued after that, and they showed this whole thing in episode 6. They would have more time to explain the story, and it would be a little bit more intense because we wouldn't know if they're going to all get out of it alive. We wouldn't know if Judith is going to get out of it alive, which would have been a little bit cooler. But obviously, we would assume she would. It would just put a little bit more intensity onto the idea. I liked the episode. I'm not going to say I didn't. I just think it was just way too hyped up, and that's kind of the problem. And I'm just going to try my best not to read any non-spoiler reviews anymore, because they kind of implant an expectation in your mind that just probably shouldn't be there in the first place. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Don't, hate on me for expressing a few negative opinions about the episode, even though, like I said, I loved it. I just think there was a couple things that I wasn't too big of a fan of. Other than that, a lot of great stuff. I'm really excited for the last 2 episodes. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Peace out.